sanctuary states like New York and California, they're not concerned about people arriving illegally from Mexico, but seem terribly concerned if they arrive from states like Texas or Florida, bust in. Then it's a crime. Then it's a crime. These people are being conned into taking that long journey by foot. They're being conned by Democrat politicians in order to get their votes. They're actually importing votes. They're not concerned about the conditions along the way, where the women are horrifically getting abused along the way. And to get to those women, they're beating up the men, the boyfriends and the husbands of these women. So it's a long, dangerous journey. A lot of them are being killed, abused and whatnot. So these sanctuary states, I'll say it again, they're not concerned about importing them that way. But when they're bussed in from Texas, when they're bussed in from places like Florida, then they're all righteous. Just some food for thought. Just want to put that out there. So reparations. Just in the last week, I've been hearing a lot about reparations in the news. And just like global warming, I want to put this in context. Remember when global warming first came out of a news pundit or politician's mouth? It was called global warming. That was the name of the threat, the new boogeyman at the time. But then there was places around this earth, as normally as it occurs, we're getting cold. So they couldn't stand up to that argument. Global warming could not stand up to the argument of places getting cooler around the earth. So in order to justify this new boogeyman, they had to change the narrative. They had to change the name of the boogeyman itself. It went from global warming to climate change. That way, no matter which direction the weather changed, see, it's the boogeyman, it's the boogeyman. It rained here, it's the boogeyman. It's a hurricane there, it's the boogeyman. So just like that, they're changing the argument of reparations. So our argument to defend ourselves against paying for reparations was the fact that many of your parents, I know my parents, were not around during slavery days. We had nothing to do with it. We weren't around. We're not guilty of that. I know you personally watching this video and myself. So our parents and ourselves weren't around, had nothing to do with slavery. So that was our argument. Well, the Democrats and the news pundits could not defend themselves against that argument. So what do? Just like global warming, they change it. So no longer is it about slavery. It's now about many years of racism. The years to follow slavery, all the racism. That's what they're trying to sell reparations on. I know this because yesterday or possibly the day before, Obama came out again. These people don't go away. They're like rats. And he was hinting that was the real reason. So it's funny. We're being blamed for racism, but wasn't it really the North, the North who went to war against the South to free the slaves? So you want to hold the North accountable also? I say the soldiers who died fighting with the North, that's reparations enough, personally. It's so funny that they want to basically implement the ultimate purchase plan to buy Democrat votes. That's what it is. And it also ensures that future elections for generations are won, because all the Democrat candidate needs to say is, my opposing candidate wants to eliminate your monthly check. He wants to eliminate your reparations. Vote for me. Election won. So I've been getting quite a few emails. It's funny, changing the subject, about how I would resolve these theft rings targeting stores. Actually, they're legalized theft rings thanks to those cities Democrat governments. So how would I fix that? Because many of those stores are closing down and moving out of those neighborhoods, right? And it comes a point where there'll be no longer any stores to, let's just say, legally, legitimately buy groceries. You need groceries. So if you want to legitimately buy groceries, what do you got to do? You got to drive, leave your neighborhood, and come to your neighborhood. And that's fine when you're legitimately buying groceries. However, crime soon follows. These theft rings will soon follow. You get my point? So how would I resolve this? First of all, I would like to actually thank them first, because they're still concerned for your safety, because surprisingly, they're still wearing their COVID mask. Isn't that really nice? Anyway, I digress. I'm just making a little joke there, a little observational humor, that they're still wearing their mask, you know? It wouldn't happen to be that they want to hide their identity. No, no, no. So they got a lot of free time on their hands, and paid for by you. Yes, the working people's taxes subsidize their freedom. Freedom from working. So let's call a spade. Okay, let's cut the bull. When you take a look at their images that the news media outlets are showing us on television, when you take a look at them, we all have common sense. We all can kind of do a preemptive reading of somebody, the way they're dressed, the way they talk, the shoes they wear. We can go on and on how to gauge a person, okay? And when I take a look at them, as racial as I sound, you can tell the majority are on welfare and or subsidized housing. Okay? Again, paid for by the taxpayers, the people who actually work for a living. So they got a lot of free time on their hands. So how would I resolve this issue here? These people who have so much time on their hands, they're a nuisance to society. They are the enemy of society. They are anti-society. Well, for one thing, if I was king for a day and you got busted for a crime and you were on any type of welfare assistance, you would automatically forfeit it permanently and still serve your jail/prison/monetary fines. That's how I would resolve things. And maybe they would get hungry enough to actually join society and actually work for a living and contribute and have skin in the game when they go to vote. Now, I can do the extreme thing also, and I'm going to probably get a bunch of hate mail for this, because even I can recognize that it's extreme. But the way I see it is the news media outlets, as well as the Democrat politicians, believe it's okay to blame somebody else for a crime or a sin that was committed by somebody else. And I'm talking about slavery. Okay? Again, you and I, we're not around, yet they want to blame us for those sins of yesteryear, right? For the sins of slavery. They want us to pay. That's kind of like me going out and committing a crime, and then miraculously I'm nowhere to be found. So what do? They blame my family and make them pay the penalties. You get my point. So I suggest that we also play this by the same playbook. They agree it's okay to blame somebody else that wasn't around during slavery. They agree that it's okay to blame somebody else for a crime they didn't commit. I say let's just play by the same playbook and blame their parents. So, you get busted for a crime, not only do you forfeit your welfare. And I know it's extreme, but sometimes you got to do extreme things. I say we blame the parents. They forfeit their welfare because chances are it was generational welfare anyway. The parents of the parents of the parents are on welfare, if you know what I mean. It's not just a single generational thing. I've talked about intergenerational welfare and how it's bad for society. If you want to go back and look at that video. If you want me to recreate that video, just leave it in the comments. I'll recreate it. It's bad. So I say they forfeit their welfare as well. Why? Well, maybe they will encourage their children to become better citizens if there was a risk that they too would lose their welfare. Maybe they would raise a child that would add value to society. Take care, folks.